Hey internet, senior software photographer here, and look what I've got in my mail. This is Canon FD 50mm 1.4 lens, and I have no intention to keep it. Well, at least that's what I told my wife. Um, the thing is that this lens is kind of broken, so the aperture rings are oily and you cannot open up the lens more than, I think it's like f8 or something. So, and if I open it, yeah, maybe you will see that there is a little bit of oil on the aperture. So it should be a rather easy fix, and I'm going to fix it and send it back, basically. Well, not send it back, but sell it back. And I have found pretty good guide on how to fix aperture blades exactly on that model of Canon FD lens. Unfortunately, it's not that precise in a way that there are a lot of fast forwards and not all the parts are explained, but I will try to make my way through this lens and explain you hopefully better how to fix it. So first we gonna start with removing this front cap basically, and unlike other lenses, it's not a a screw mount, but it actually has kind of clips that will hold the whole element in place. And to remove this this ring, you're gonna need a credit card. Basically, I'm gonna be using a guitar mediator, which is pretty handy. And you gotta be really careful and not to, not scratching the glass. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift it with my nail a little bit, because my nail is thinner than the mediator, and then I'm going to pry it with a mediator and pop it. So I tried to do it off camera, because that video I mentioned didn't exactly show the procedure, but just like wrote an explanation in closed captions. So yeah, I had to be sure. So I lift it a little bit with my nail, just enough to put the mediator there, as you can see. And now I'm going to pry it, and as you can see, it pops. So now we can remove that one to open the screws. Yes, and basically, as you can see here, it's just a ring with some clips. Okay, so here we have 3 screws with a, and you gotta be really careful not scratching the lens, because the front element is huge here. So this lens cost around 80 euros in a good condition. And in this condition I bought it for like 40, delivery included, so twice as cheap. So if I'm able to fix it, that will spare me like 40 euros. And as I said, I'm not going to keep it anyways. I just wanted to play with it a little bit. So as you can see here, we have oil, and well, from what I know, it should not be here basically. And once that dries, I'm not going to be crazy about this, because gasoline simply, just dissolves the oil, so you shouldn't even like remove it afterwards. And here I want to be really careful not touching the lens. And this gasoline evaporates so fast that I can be like a little bit sloppy here, let's say. So yeah. And guys, I rewatched the video and turns out there was no need in removing the focusing ring. So yeah, the one thing to do is actually I gotta remove this lens block carefully. So I will just catch it with my nails and quickly transfer to this cotton bud. That's gonna open aperture for me, and as you can see here, there are quite some oil. Yeah, nasty stuff. Yeah. So now I'm gonna remove these screws and continue with the aperture mechanism. So ideally I should be able now to remove the aperture mechanism, like everything, as one unit. But that's could be like easier, you know, said than done. Well, according to that video, I should be just gently prying this with a screwdriver. Just try to lift it. And it looks like there's some sort of glue. I mistakenly thought it's grease from the helicoil, but it's not. And this glue actually doesn't let me to remove it. And as I said, it's always challenging. So you gotta make it visible to yourself, and then you also want to make it visible to the camera. Okay, don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off. So far so good. So what do we have here? We have a aperture mechanism, and it looks like this grease or this glue somehow got in the way of the mechanism here, because as you can see, aperture blades are not that dirty. So I gotta remove everything, or at least like parts of this glue. Because like this is the part that moves it, and here was the glue. Okay, let's clean it really quickly. Doesn't need much gasoline. But you know what? These aperture blades are so tight, so a little bit more liquid on them and they not that easy to open and close. So yeah, this part you don't want to bend in any way, because once you bend this part you basically broken your aperture. So I decided to remove that nasty glue completely, and I did it by just using the same solution I have. Yeah, and when you do something like that, you want to be sure that there are no like floating parts inside your lens after you did this. And my aperture, as you can see, now it's fully functional. So you know what, I think I'm going to be doing a little bath for that part, because I have a feeling I'm not removing everything. And one more reason why I'm doing this is I really want this to dry evenly without all these pieces of dust. Because as you saw, if I try to clean it just with this cotton bud, it dries as it is dirty. And this is the last thing I want to have on my aperture. I want it to be clean and I want it to look like it is clean at the same time, because it can be clean and then it can look like it's like full of crap and nobody's gonna buy it. And this is also the way how I can be sure that all the all the oil inside this mechanism is also dissolved. So now before we put this lens block back on its place, we gotta clean it. In the right position. As you can see, it just clicks back. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I cleaned the aperture blades. They should be working now. They are, basically. As I discovered, I cannot really use this lens with my setup. But as you can see, even though it's like 1.4 aperture lens, that kinda could be a little bit, difficult, but it is pretty straightforward just to disassemble it, fixing it, and assemble it back again. So yeah, with this, guys, thanks for watching and see you next time.